going on? We're coming to you live from a very snowy New York City today. I'm your host, Kevin Kenny. This is the Build Series, and we're going to be joined in just a little bit by the best-selling Irish act of 2017, 2018, and if 2019 does not watch out, this year will be very much the same. Please give it up for Picture This.
Thank you.
How are you, Ryan, Jimmy?
Very good. How are you?
How are you enjoying this snowy New York City?
It's very cold.
Very cold.
Too cold?
Well, we're used to it because we're from
I was going to
Ireland.
say, what are you talking about? It's
Yeah,
cold.
I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm good.
The LA weather, man, it softened you up, it sounds like.
It did. It was actually cold. We were in LA all week, and it was surprisingly cold. I didn't know it ever got cold in LA.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that. I was thinking, if I was here as a tourist in February, I would almost feel robbed if it was nice out.
Yeah.
You want the winter in New York City,
Yeah,
right? It's
for
like going to
sure.
LA and it's cold. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah. It looks nice. I like looking at the snow. I don't like being in it.
You ever make music in New York?
Have you ever made music in New York?
We might have,
Right.
but not necessarily produced music. I'm sure you've written some
I'm
songs.
sure I
in New
have.
York.
Yeah, I'm sure I've done some voice recordings on my phone in a hotel room here somewhere.
Is that, I mean, like, you know, like Charlie Puth famously named his album Voice
Voice
Notes,
Notes.
right? Like, is that true? Most artists these days, you just type in it out on the phone?
Yeah, that's what I do. Anyway, I just record like little melodies and stuff into my phone all the time, and then I write lyrics and notes. So I have like thousands of voice recordings and thousands of notes on my phone.
Is it more so the notes, or is it more so the recordings?
It's more so the recordings, yeah, like voice recordings more than anything.
Because where do most of these songs start?
They start with like a voice recording. I'll record a melody and lyrics, and because for the first album it was like me on an acoustic guitar for a lot of the songs, and that's how I wrote them. But for this album it was just literally recording melodies and lyrics into my phone, and then I would send it to Jimmy in a WhatsApp message, and he would tell me if it was good or not.
So wild, like what you can accomplish nowadays. Not to sound like a grandpa or anything, but like, you know what I mean? Like you think about all these bands we looked up to. Like imagine if like Bono could just like, you know, like airdrop Edge something. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of wild to imagine. But,
Yeah, it's a modern way of doing it.
yeah, for sure. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
With the album, which is out Friday, by the way. I should have mentioned that at the top, but it's an exciting week. Yeah, round of applause.
Thank you.
We're almost there. You did the Today Show this morning. How was that?
That was great. We did the Today Show after our first album, which was really good. It was a great performance for us. So it was good to go back a couple of years later and perform again. We performed a song called If You Want to Be Loved off our album. And it's cool. We love the Today Show. It's cool.
Yeah. Jimmy, you know, a lot of artists will say they get really nervous on live TV because there's no net, right? It's just one take, you got to nail it. But other artists will say, you know, it's like, well, you can't. You're in the small studio. There's a couple cameras. You can't really feel that national audience. How was it for you guys this morning?
It was good. Yeah. Well, I don't think any of us were really that nervous. I was quite nervous because being the drummer and all, I have to count off the whole song. So the guy on the floor comes up to me and says, okay, I'm going to give you the cue and you're going to start the whole thing. I'm like, oh, God. And so I'm trying to look for him. Wherever he is, give me the cue. So I would be more nervous about the technical side of things, you know, just because that's the way I am. But playing wise, once the song starts and we get into it, it's the best. You know, it's the best feeling.
How soon into a live performance, be it on national TV or at a show? I mean, you guys just did, is this true, 35,000 people in Ireland?
Yeah.
Dude, that is like mental.
It's crazy, yeah. It was a stadium called the RDS in Dublin, and we headlined that and sold it out. Yeah, it's crazy, yeah. When you think back on it now, it's kind of hard to comprehend. It was such a whirlwind, and it was just an amazing night that we'll never forget.
I was gonna so be it that experience right there in front of 35,000 people, or be it on national TV here in America. How soon into the performance do the nerves go away?
They go away right away for me.
Immediately, right?
Immediately, yeah.
Okay.
Because you just get hit with like this atmosphere. It's like a wall of adrenaline just hits you as soon as you hit the stage, or if it's like in a live performance on something like the Today Show. Because you just kind of instantly get right into the song. As soon as the show starts, you kind of forget about anything you were nervous about. But I don't really get nervous. I get like really, really excited and really on edge. And I let Jimmy have all the nerves because he has to run the whole show. I just have to sing some songs.
Yeah, I get. Again, I don't get nervous about. Like the gig in general, just the technical side of things. But once you get on stage, then it's like you forget about everybody else. It's just the band and the fans, and it's just there's a magic about it, I guess.
Would you describe it as almost a groove you get into? Like, how would you describe that experience?
It's weird because like it's tough to try and say it to a lot of people who don't do it that often, and it's odd when you get in front of a stadium and you're playing to all of your fans who are singing every words of your songs. You know, it's weird, but it's just kind of becomes this odd experience. Kind of, it's weird. It's like you're on some kind of drug or something, I guess.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's very difficult to explain, but it's something difficult to come down off of, definitely.
Yeah. Very healthy drug, though, as far as drugs
Very
go.
healthy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of nerves there and just the technical side of things, Jimmy, I forget how the story goes, whether it was Shawn Mendes said this or if Taylor Swift said this or if Taylor told Shawn this, whatever it may be. This idea that once you accept the reality that no one is going to your show to judge you or to watch you mess up. They're actually all there to just have a great time. It's actually pretty liberating as a live performer.
Definitely, it is. And I think that's the thing you kind of realize when you step out on stage and everyone starts cheering and they're enjoying the music. You're like, oh, okay, these people are here to see us. And that's something I still get nervous about as well, is if we're playing a gig, are there going to be people there? Even if the gig is sold out, I still have this weird thought in my head, like, are they actually going to come?
Yeah.
You know.
It's kind of amazing when you actually think, like Drake just made this speech at the Grammys about people with normal jobs, quote unquote, just like, driving in the rain or the snow to your gigs. It's kind of amazing when you actually stop and think like, wow, all these people like made plans in their day, scheduled things, maybe hired a babysitter, whatever the circumstances may be, to come and enjoy your art.
Yeah, that's something that I find more humbling than anything, and that really means a lot to me, because I know there's a lot of people who maybe don't have a lot of money, but they saved up to come and see us, and they made all these plans, and they could be anywhere in the world if they wanted to be, but they chose to be at our show, and that means a lot to us. And I say thanks on stage like 10 times, and I always have to stop myself from saying it too much, but we're just so appreciative of everything that's happened to us since we started only a short while ago. But it means a lot, and it's something we never really care about. Not that we, like, of course it's great for critics and people like that to be into your band, but it's all about the fans for us.
Oh, yeah.
And I really mean that. I know a lot of bands probably say that, but we really mean that. It's all about the fans. They're the reason we're in this band.
Yeah. Another thing Drake said at the Grammys kind of made me think of you guys is he won a Grammy, but he was saying that these awards really aren't the goal. You've won once you're heroes in your hometown, and I thought about you guys just as back-to-back best-selling acts in your home country of Ireland. Do you feel like you've won?
Yeah, you feel. I feel like I've won every single day. When if just one person listening to your song, you've won.
Right.
Because all we intended to do when we started out with the band was to create music. We actually didn't even consider ourselves as a band for the first while. We just kind of made some songs and posted them on Facebook, and then they exploded, and we were kind of forced into being a band, which we're thankful for. But yeah, I think just creating music in general, you've won, and some people listen to it is amazing. And it's like the live show is always a gratifying moment for me when you're physically there with the people who are invested in your band. That's always the gratifying moment.
Yeah. Well, how do you balance it though? Because you guys are very grateful for the success you've had, but you also, I should say, don't shy away from this notion of like you want to be one of the biggest bands, if not the biggest band in the world.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that? How do you balance sort of being content and happy with where you are with these incredibly lofty aspirations?
I think it'd probably be easy to get carried away with the whole wanting to be the biggest band in the world. It'd be very easy for you. We want it for the right reasons. We want the most amount of people to hear our music. We don't want to be the most famous band in the world necessarily. We want to be the most successful band in the world. Do you know what I mean by that? Like we're not driven by fame or anything like that. We're driven by success and people being invested in our music.
How do you quantify success if not fame?
Well, success for me is like selling out stadiums and things like that, and having recognized the albums around the world and stuff like that. It's that side of it that we're really into, and we've just believed since we started that we can be the biggest band in the world, and we've never been afraid to say it. And I don't know why we would be. And that's one of the reasons we love the US so much, because people over here are very self-confident. For us, it seems like that for us coming from Ireland. Not that Irish people aren't, but people in the US seem to be very sure of themselves, and we love that because we're the same.
I was going to say, Conor McGregor's pretty sure of himself.
He is. Yeah.
As far as Irishmen go.
He is, but it's not a very Irish mentality that he has. It's we would find it quite American.
Do you, as an Irish act and wanting to be as big as you guys want to be eventually and on your way to becoming, do you study bands that have been able to break out of Ireland? And what was it about that band that allowed them to break out internationally?
I think, well, not really to an extent, but we do definitely keep it in mind that there is a pattern sometimes with bands from any country that break out of their country. They don't sit back for a minute. You know, having success in your home country is incredible, but if you want, like, it's excuse me, that feeling of having so many people listen to your music is amazing. So why wouldn't you want to recreate that all over the world with every kind of person? You know, and that's what kind of drives us on. It's cool to become successful in your home country and have everyone there become fans of your music and love your music, you know, and they're fans for life. But like, why wouldn't you want to make it a bigger fan base and a bigger almost family, you know what I mean, that kind of way? And it's there for the taking, you know, and it's exciting to try and take it on, really.
Is there any concern? I talked about balance before of being content and wanting to be one of the biggest bands in the world. Is there any concern with the balance between international success and alienating your hometown fans?
No, there's. I think we've got it right in terms of like the modern day. Social media is a great tool for that, for constantly being in contact with all of your fans collectively, and I think we have some big shows in Ireland. So America obviously is a vast country, and Ireland is very minuscule in terms of size. So in Ireland, you only play maybe a couple of shows a year, which are massive shows. And then when you come to somewhere like the States or say the UK, you have to spend more time there. You just have to, because they're bigger places. But I don't think there's any fear of us ever alienating Ireland. It's where we're from. It's the reason we get to go to other countries is because of the support we had there.
Yeah.
And Irish fans are crazy, which everybody knows.
Yeah.
We're never going to forget about Irish fans.
Sports, music, no matter what.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy, what's the music community like in Ireland, just among like fellow Irish musicians?
It's good. It's actually something that we aren't really in. There's definitely a music scene in Ireland, and the music scene in Ireland is always quite alternative and different from the rest of the world, and it's such a musical country. Some of the biggest bands in the world have come from Ireland, you know, and it's weird because it is such a small country, and the music scene there is tiny, you know. Yet every now and again there's bands that break out and become huge. But I find Irish people are just extremely musical people. Yeah. You know, it's just something funny like that. Even we do it. Even if we're out, we just burst into song like because it's funny. And like I think every Irish person wants to do that. They just want to sing and listen to music and go to gigs, even at home, like going to a gig is like everybody goes to gigs, you know, and they just enjoy. Like the music scene is huge in Ireland in that way. It's very small compared to other music scenes, but the passion for it, I find, is the biggest in the world, and that's why again, like coming from Ireland helps us a lot because there's a serious passion for us, and especially if you're talking about alienating the country. Like if we break out, we know that Ireland is going to be behind us 100% because they're so passionate about music. So, yeah, I find it great. I feel like bursting into song.
You want to sing a little song right now?
I want to save it.
As you guys have gotten bigger over the past couple of years, have any heroes of yours reached out, or have you had any starstruck moments?
For us, the only starstruck, and I feel like a nerd even saying it, but I grew up playing football, like playing soccer, and so my favourite team were Manchester United, and I've met loads of famous musicians who I love, but the most starstruck I've ever been was we were at a charity event back in Ireland, and the whole Man United team was there, like the legendary Man United team from '92. And we got to spend the night with them and drink with them and stuff. And I was just like a child, just kind of looking at them all night. So that's the most starstruck I've ever been. But in terms of musicians, we got to support the 1975, who are our favourite band as a collective. And a great Irish band, The Script. They're great at giving advice, and it's amazing to see how driven they still are. I was talking to Danny at a festival in Glasgow, and it's amazing to see how driven them guys still are and how hungry they are. Even still. Yeah. And it's amazing, and that's very inspiring. It was very inspiring to see how hungry they still are, and I aspire to still be as hungry as I am at that stage.
Right. You talked about playing sports growing up. You think that's where the competition in you, the competitive nature comes from?
Possibly. I think no matter what job I'd be in, just as a person, I want to be the best at it. If I was a plumber, not that there's anything wrong with being a plumber, but if that's what I was, if that was my job, I'd want to be the best at that. Or if I was a school teacher, I'd want to be the best school teacher. That's just the way I am growing up, and I think we all are as a band. Yeah. It's just kind of it's not something I really noticed until people start pointing it out, like how hungry we were. It's just kind of second nature to us to work really hard.
I mean, that's almost in the Irish character, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it surely is. And I think it's something, again, that's just instilled in us, you know, to want to be the best and want to be the greatest. Like, and we get a kick out of getting things perfect and being the best at it. You know, it's not necessarily competitive because the music industry isn't really competitive in a way, but there's something amazing about being the best at something or putting in your best or striving to be the best, and sometimes it comes back as a successful thing. Like, and it's the best feeling when you create something or you put hard work into something and you get that kind of result back.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's why we want to do it. We don't want to do it for our own personal gain.
Yeah, I think it's being competitive with yourself. I don't think it's being competitive with anyone else. We're always trying to better what we've done, and that's why, say for this album, Modern Love, that's coming out on February 15th, it sounds a lot different than our first album, which was a natural progression, but was also a conscious thing. We were aware that we just didn't want to create another album that sounded similar to the first one, but just a bit different. Because as soon as you do that, you're then pigeonholed for the rest of your career, and that's your sound. And that's something we're not interested in, because we're too creative as people and too interested in different genres of music to go and do something like that. And that's kind of being competitive with yourself and just trying to make better songs all the time. It was like we released 2 songs early this year, a song called This Morning and a song called When We Were Young, which were supposed to be on the album until the last minute when we just kept writing songs. And I was like, it was just, again, it was being competitive. It was like, these songs are better than them, even though we've released them and they probably should be on the album. We didn't, and it's great to have that kind of drive to always striving to be better and create better music. And we're control freaks as well, in that we control everything in terms of music videos, all of our social media, anything we do, any show we put on, it all comes direct from us, and it's the only way you can be truly happy with the end product, I think.
Right. And it's probably what's resonating so much with the world now is that authenticity, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think people subconsciously kind of know that, that it's coming direct from us.
Yeah, I think everybody has a pretty good BS meter, if you want to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You can kind of sniff it out these days.
Yeah.
You talk about just being this album, which is out Friday again, Modern Love, being, you know, sort of this evolution of the band, and you guys being fans of so many different genres. You mentioned the 1975 before. Is that what you sort of admire about those guys?
Yeah, they're boundless in their sound, and especially their latest album. It's genreless, really.
Yeah,
that's how people consume music. So why not create music like that? I think there's not really groups of people that listen to one genre anymore. Right. I think everybody is happy enough to listen to all genres and all types of music, and it's not really a guilty pleasure anymore to like a song of any kind. So once you're consuming music in that way, why not create music in that way? Yeah. It's just as fun. There's songs in this album that maybe people have said they sound a bit country-ish. It's a pop album, but there's kind of funky songs on it. There's slow ballads on it, and it's literally just creating music in the same way as you consume it, and that is definitely something we admire about the 1975. Yeah.
Manny almost fought me because I called his band an alternative band, and he was like, "We're not an alternative band. We're no band." Like you're talking about. Do you think of yourselves? You said this is more or less a pop album. Do you think of yourselves within the constructs of a traditional genre?
Yeah, I think if I had to call as a genre, I would call it pop.
Yeah,
definitely. And that's another like the first album was kind of, I guess you could call it more acoustic pop rock kind of thing. But this album was more kind of straight up pop. Cool. And the next album that we're halfway through is even poppier again.
You said you're halfway through the next album.
Yeah, album
This
3,
is out Friday.
Yeah.
And you guys are halfway through the next album. I saw you talking to Jimmy just sighed. Is this news to Jimmy?
I put him under so much pressure.
Yeah, I'm like balance like the live shows, and then it's like when we have time off, it's like, okay, let's go to the studio, and so I'm always the third album is on my laptop.
Yeah,
so it's always going.
It got to a point recently where Jimmy actually said, "Stop sending me songs."
I just can't keep up. Like, because Ryan would send me songs as voice notes.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, they're great, but I can't.
I gotta sleep, bro.
I have to stop for a minute because we have to plan the tour, you know.
Yeah. Well, I saw you guys talking to an outlet, I think in Ireland. It was a really cool interview, actually. You guys were talking to some dude outside, like a courtyard. And you, Ryan, were saying how it's just like the modern climate of music, where like you want to keep being prolific in terms of your output.
Yeah, people just consume music so quickly now. And as soon as, as soon as this album is out, in a couple of weeks, people are going to want more music from us again. And if we could release music every day, we would, because there's just that desire for people to have as much music as possible because it's so accessible now with social media and all of the music platforms. People are just consuming it so quickly, which we actually love. There's a lot of bands and a lot of acts who would maybe feel kind of pressured by that or not up to that, but we create music so often at we believe a high level, so we love that kind of consumption rate of music, and if we could release 2 albums a year, we would.
Does it change what a song is to you guys? Like if you think about the pressure, right? Like if you're, oh my God, I have to put out so many songs. I think that's probably approaching a song in a very traditional way, as this thing that has to live on an album that is a part of a 15 track body of work, and it's got to be timeless. Do you think of songs now as more like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say flippant, that's the wrong word, but more of like these like sort of transient emotions of like, yeah, here's the song for today and here's the song for tomorrow. Like,
no, I don't, because I don't actually consciously think, oh, I have to create music. And if I did think that, then I think you would treat the song more flippantly. It's just that we just happen to create a lot of music all the time. Like if I go a day without writing a song, I start to think, can I still do this? I'm very insecure, I suppose, in that way. If I go one full day, I'm like, I start to wonder, maybe I've lost it.
Yeah.
And I say it to Jimmy all the time. He's like, you just sent me like 5 songs 2 days ago.
Calm
Jimmy
down.
still looks tired.
I'm always tired, man.
If you're watching us live right now, tomorrow in New York City, you guys are doing something really, really cool at the Empire State Building. Can you explain this? Because I don't entirely understand it, but it sounds epic.
Yeah. So I'll tell you the full story. Around 6 months ago, our manager Brian said, how would you feel about releasing the album from the top of the Empire State Building? We were like, yeah, whatever. That's not going to happen. And then 5 months later, it's like, it's happening. We were like, oh, okay, this is actually happening. And now we're here. So tomorrow, we're having an event that we want to launch from the top of the Empire State Building. We are going to be launching from the top of the Empire State Building because what better place, how much more iconic can you be than the top of the world, what people call it, and that's exactly where we want to be. So why not do it there? And so it's happening, and it's happening tomorrow. It's just crazy. I can't even put it in words, really. It's going to be one of those career highlight moments, I think, for the band for sure.
I take it neither of you are scared of heights.
You're kind of scared of heights. Yeah, Jimmy's scared of heights. Yeah.
Well, I've gotten better, to be honest. But yeah.
Is this something we can watch? Is this something fans watching live can attend?
You will be able to see. We'll have footage of it. We're going to video it, but we did like
Awesome.
a competition back home. Like the radio stations in Ireland are flying people over, and
That's so rad.
there's going to be loads of media and stuff there. Yeah, so there'll be lots of footage of the show. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We got some questions both in studio and on Twitter. Let's get to Twitter first. Comes from Megan. She wants to know favorite song off the new album, and she wants to add, can't wait for it.
I can't wait for it either. My favorite song is a song called "Hurt Nobody," which we released a teaser of last week. It's just my favorite song. It was one of the last songs on the album. It's quite a different sound to what we usually do, but "Hurt Nobody" would be my favorite track.
My favorite song is the song "Modern Love," which is the first song on the album, and I just find, I don't know what it is about that song, but that was the song that when I heard that song, I was like, this is the name of the album. You know, it is. I don't even know how to explain it. It's the perfect opening song that kind of describes exactly where we're going with our sound, and it describes the whole album, and it just means a lot to me anyway. I have great memories of making that song in studio.
Yeah. Did you immediately agree on Modern Love as the title?
Yeah, it was. We had just finished tracking the vocal for the song, and I just kind of said to Jimmy quite flippantly, "This would be a great name for an album." And then Jimmy was like, "That's it. That's the name for the album." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, when you know, you know.
Yeah.
All right, before we send you back out into the New York City snow, we have one final studio audience question. It'll come from over here.
Hi. I wanted to ask, how do you guys work creatively as individuals while still being a part of a group?
That is a great question. We are actually very kind of separate in how we create music, in that I'll do basically the whole song, the lyrics and the melody, and I'll either like record it into my phone or whatever, and then I'll send it to Jimmy, and Jimmy has his own studio, so he goes to the studio and he takes the song and he puts all the music around it and he plays all the instruments and records it, and while I'm at home doing some, I don't know, random stuff, he's in the studio working on it, and then we come together at the end and we gel the song together at the end.
Yeah, I actually think it works extremely well because we are very different creatively. Like, extremely different in a way. Like, Ryan is very, very good at spontaneously coming up with extremely original ideas. And but on the other hand, I am very good at taking those ideas and making them something else, or like, it's all the time. Sometimes in the studio, Ryan will say, I want this to sound like this. I don't know how to do it, but do it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I'm good at actually making that happen. So the fact that we're extremely different creatively means that when we come together with two separate things, that it always works for some reason. I think if we were very similar creatively, I don't think it would work as well. Like, I will never tell Ryan to change lyrics or talk about lyrics because I know that's Ryan's thing. You know, it's almost similar with me in a way as well, that I'm left on my own in the studio to create the song. And at the end, obviously, we refine it together. But I think we are extremely different people and extremely different creative people. But it just makes it so much more exciting because we're constantly shocking each other with stuff, and it's funny. Like, you know, it's great, I find.
Yeah.
Great question.
Thank you.
Well, of course, the album, as we've said, out everywhere this Friday. Just days from right now. And then, do I have this right? Tour, right, this year?
Yeah, we have US tour. When is that? I'm no good at dates.
First time ever headlining, too, in the U.S., right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, round of applause for that. That's a
Thank you.
very modest couple gentlemen, but that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a long tour. It actually starts in Canada, a couple of dates in Canada, but then I think the first date is in Cambridge, in Boston, on April 24th, and then we go down the East Coast, and then we go across the country to the Midwest, and then we're into, literally, it's like a zigzag, and then we go down.
I follow you.
Yeah, we come all the way down the East Coast, up into Midwest and Chicago, then down to Los Angeles, back up, and we finish in Seattle.
Right on.
And then we go home, but it's 5 to 6 weeks long.
And then Jimmy takes a nap.
Jimmy will take a long, hard nap.
I won't be. I don't like.
That's in the.
I don't like sleeping.
You don't?
No.
just no voice notes maybe for a week.
Yeah. I'll go easy on him.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. One more time for Picture This.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.